I never meant for it to go that far. It started with a look, too long, too familiar. He saw me as someone worth wanting. My husband hadn't looked at me like that in years. The guilt didn't hit right away, only the thrill. It was supposed to be harmless, just a little secret to keep me breathing. But secrets rot, and mine spread like poison. Every night, I rehearsed lies so well they started sounding true. And now sitting here, I can't even recognize the woman in the mirror. Something shattered in me the moment I said yes. But what shattered in him? I was about to find out. He always made the coffee. Always the same mug. Same routine. And I played the wife. Smiles, pecks on the cheek, have a good day. He didn't notice the way I flinched when he touched me. He didn't notice much of anything anymore. Maybe that's why I justified it. His neglect, his silence, my permission slip. But deep down, I knew the truth. I wanted to feel powerful again. And he gave me that. The other man. He saw me. But every lie I told over breakfast felt heavier. I watched my husband stir his sugar and wondered how sweet he'd stay if he knew. I didn't know it then, but he already did. He said he loved how I smelled like cinnamon and danger. I laughed, but my heart tightened every time he said love. It wasn't love. It was escape. A place where I could pretend. He never asked about my husband. That made it easier. But when he touched me, I didn't feel whole. I felt split in two. I left before he woke up. I always did. And walking to my car, I caught my reflection in a shop window. I looked like someone else's story. Someone else's ruin. My hands trembled on the wheel. My stomach turned. Something was off. Then my phone buzzed. One message. We need to talk. Now, tight. Yee. My chest tightened as I stared at the message. He never texted like that. Never so blunt. So final. I wanted to ignore it. To run. But I couldn't breathe until I knew. I dialed. But it rang once. Then went to voicemail. The silence screamed louder than anything he could have said. Every second stretched like wire across my skin. Had he followed me? Read my messages? Heard something? I thought I was careful. I thought I was in control. But deep down, I always knew I wasn't the only one watching. I wasn't ready for what he'd say. But I couldn't stop now. I walked in and the house felt colder. Drawers were open. Photos on the floor. My world ripped apart. He stood by the window. Still. Silent. Dasha. And that scared me more than shouting ever could. I said his name. Nothing. Just the ticking clock between us. Then he turned, holding the envelope I'd hidden for months. Printed emails. Hotel receipts. Lees in ink. His eyes didn't burn. They sank. Like something inside him had drowned. He whispered, "How long?" I couldn't answer. Because time doesn't exist when you're sinking in guilt. That's when I saw it. Not rage, not hate. Just the end. He left before midnight. No words. No door slam. Just absence. I sat in the dark for hours, heart a cage of regret. I checked my phone 100 times. Nothing. Then, one voicemail. 37 seconds. My hands shook as I pressed play. His voice was calm, almost kind. "You made your choice. Now I'll make mine." Wow. Then, click. No goodbye. No second chance. My mind raced. What did that mean? Where was he going? The bed felt wider than ever. Colder too. And for the first time, I realized I was the villain in my own story. I replayed his message again and again. You made your choice. The words burrowed into me like thorns. What choice? I didn't choose to be invisible. I didn't choose to be ignored. But I did choose the lies. I chose the escape. I stared into the mirror, begging for a version of me I could forgive. Instead, I saw someone else's mistake, someone else's monster. If he was going to leave, I needed to know where. Why? I dialed his brother, then his best friend. Nothing. No one had seen him. Something didn't feel right anymore. This wasn't just heartbreak. It felt like something worse was coming. I drove to his office. Closed. Then the garage. His car. Gone. I called again. Voicemail derational. My voice cracked in the message. Please, come home. Please. I used to want him to leave. Now I couldn't breathe without knowing where he was. That's when I saw it. The second phone in the trash bin. His old burner. Curiosity clawed at me. I pulled it out, hands shaking. One number stood out. Not mine. Not work. Just saved as truth. Yeah. I pressed call. One ring. Then a woman's voice. I was wondering when you'd find me. You. She was younger, prettier, and completely calm. She said they met at a grief group after his father died. Months ago, he talked about me, about how I used to light up rooms and then didn't. She wasn't smug, just honest. That hurt more. He hadn't told her he was married. Not at first. But when he did, she didn't run. I asked her why. Why stay? Why him? She looked me in the eyes and said, because he never lied to me about who he was. That's when it hit me. He was getting revenge. Not with rage. Not with yelling. But by becoming everything I wasn't. I had betrayed him first. And now, he was showing me how that felt. I sat in the car outside her apartment for almost an hour. I told myself I wasn't that kind of woman. Jealous, angry, unstable. But pain doesn't follow rules. And neither does betrayal. Every raindrop felt like a countdown to something awful. I imagined them together, laughing, whispering, touching. Was that how I looked? When I was the secret, I slammed my fist against the wheel. I wanted him to hurt. Not physically, emotionally. The way he left me hollow. I wasn't crying anymore. I was planning. And that scared me more than anything. He left his work files on our shared cloud. I shouldn't have opened them, but I did. Financial records, legal drafts, even his journal, all there. I found things I wasn't supposed to see. Bank transfers. A private savings account. He'd been planning to leave long before he found out. Part of me broke. The other part sharpened. If he wanted out, fine. But not like this. He thought he could rebuild a life on my ashes. He forgot who I was before the guilt. And now I remembered her too. The envelope held every secret I could find. Names. Transfers. A photo of him and her leaving a hotel. Not for him. For her boss. His boss. It wasn't just revenge. It was retribution. He burned our vows. I burned his future. As the envelope slipped into the box, a part of me smiled. But the smile died fast. Because I knew this wasn't over. Revenge feels good until it doesn't. I checked my phone again. Still no message. Still no call. Whatever happened next, I couldn't undo what I'd just done. I never expected to see him again. Not like this. The guard handed me an envelope. Said he left it for me earlier that day. Inside, a key, a flash drive, and a single note. Watch this before you decide anything. My hands were ice. My breath wouldn't settle. I should have walked away. Should have burned it all. But the part of me still tethered to him couldn't resist. So I took the key, took the flash drive, and drove back to the house we once called home. This time, I knew what I was walking into. I just didn't know who I'd be when I walked out, or if I'd even want to. The video started with silence, then his voice, calm, low, broken. He was in therapy, weekly, for months, talking about the night I stopped reaching for his hand in bed, talking about how he blamed himself for my distance, my disinterest. He didn't mention the affair, just the ache of being invisible to someone who once loved him. Then he said something I'll never forget. I think she cheated because I disappeared first. The end. I paused the video. My throat tightened. He wasn't seeking revenge. He was trying to survive me, and I'd mistaken his healing for betrayal. The sky bled orange as I stood there, exposed and unraveling. I had destroyed the one person who still wanted to understand me. I thought revenge would fill the hollow space, but it just made it echo louder. I hurt him deeply, and he still took the high road. And I dragged us both through the mud. There was no undoing it now. No redemption letter to send. Only silence. And the choices I'd never be proud of. Some wounds don't bleed. They whisper. For years, I stayed up there until the city forgot me. And for the first time, I understood what I'd truly lost. We didn't fight about the papers. He didn't yell. He didn't plead. He just signed. I kept the house. He kept his name. No last words. No final kiss. Just two strangers in expensive chairs. He looked thinner, calmer, like he'd already mourned me. I wanted to scream, to say it was his fault too. But the truth hung heavy between us, and I couldn't lie anymore. So I just nodded, stood, and walked out the door. I expected the world to crash down as it closed behind me. Instead, silence. Final. Cold. Packing was quiet. Mechanical. Danger. Every shirt folded felt like a memory I couldn't keep. I found our wedding photo in the drawer. Turned it down without a thought. I didn't deserve nostalgia. Not after everything I'd done. I left the key on the counter. No note. No explanation. There was nothing left to say that wouldn't make it worse. The suitcase clicked shut like a casket on my past life. I checked my reflection one last time. Nothing looked back. Not a wife. Not a lover. Just consequence. And then I walked away from the house, the guilt, and the woman I used to be. It's been 3 months. He never called. Never messaged. I hear he's doing well. He smiles again. She's still around. Good. He deserves that peace. As for me, I watched the waves crash, again and again, trying to find forgiveness in the rhythm of the tide. I'm not angry anymore, just hollow. Sometimes I wonder who I might have been if I just told the truth. But stories don't rewind. They just echo. And mine ends right here, at the edge of everything I lost. Somewhere out there, he's healing. And me? I'm learning how to live with the ghost of myself.